when the rain falls at midnight, the world feels alive in ways it shouldn't. Every drop against the window carries a whisper. Every gust of wind hides a memory, and every shadow seems to breathe. On nights like this, when you sit alone and the sound of rain fills your chest with something you can't explain, it's easy to feel like the darkness outside knows your name. But the truth is, it's not trying to scare you. It's trying to remind you that you're still here, still breathing, still alive in the storm. The world may be sleeping, but not everything rests at night. Some stories awaken only when the rain begins to fall. Stories of fear, yes, but also of resilience, of courage that grows from trembling hands, and of hearts that refuse to break even when surrounded by darkness. Tonight, you and I will walk through that darkness together. We listen to the voices that echo between the thunder and discover what they truly mean. Not just tales of horror but lessons carved deep within them, each one whispering something powerful. That fear is not our enemy, that the night doesn't last forever, and that within every shadow lies a spark of light waiting to be seen. The first story begins with a woman named Elena. She lived in a quiet countryside house where rain fell harder than anywhere else. Her home sat on a lonely road, surrounded by trees that bent under the weight of wind and time. On one particular night, the rain was relentless, hammering the roof like 1,000 desperate fingers. At first, she thought she was imagining it. The soft knock at her door. It was so faint that it blended with the rhythm of the storm. But then it came again. Louder, clearer, 3 knocks. Her chest tightened. She hesitated. It was past midnight, and no one should have been out there. She peeked through the curtains. Nothing. Only darkness and the faint shimmer of rain sliding down the glass. Then, a shadow moved. Small, quick, gone. Every instinct screamed for her to stay inside, but something deep inside her whispered differently. Open the door. Her hand trembled as she reached for the handle. The cold metal burned against her skin, and when she finally pulled the door open, the world outside felt alive. Wild wind, endless rain, and footprints in the mud leading into the trees. No one stood there, but the knocks had been real. They came again minutes later, louder this time, from the back of the house. Her breath quickened, heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. Fear froze her in place, but then she heard it, a cry. Faint, fragile. A child's cry. Elena forgot her fear. She grabbed her lantern and stepped barefoot into the storm. The rain soaked her instantly, and the earth beneath her feet was cold, alive, and trembling. She followed the sound until she found him. A boy, no older than 10, covered in mud, shivering, his eyes wide with terror. He had been lost for hours in the storm, alone, scared, calling out for help. She carried him back inside, wrapped him in blankets, fed him warm soup, and held his small, trembling hand until he fell asleep. Later, she learned that he was her neighbor's child, missing since morning. That night, when Elena looked at the boy's sleeping face, tears filled her eyes. The fear that had almost kept her inside had become the very thing that pushed her out to save a life. She realized something powerful. Fear isn't meant to paralyze you. It's meant to prepare you. It's the whisper that says, you're about to discover what you're made of. Every scream, every heartbeat that echoes through your chest in the dark, every time you think you can't go on, that's fear, showing you the doorway to courage. It's the storm before the calm, the trembling before the triumph. When your world feels haunted and your breath catches in your throat, remember Elena, how her fear led her to someone who needed her. Sometimes the things we run from are the same things that awaken the hero inside us. There's beauty in fear. It teaches you that you are still alive. It reminds you that even when your heart shakes, it's still beating. And that means you still have a chance to fight, to love, to hope, to begin again. Outside, the rain continues. You can hear it, can't you? The rhythm, the quiet music of the storm. In that sound, there's comfort. The kind that only darkness can bring. Because sometimes, the rain doesn't come to frighten us. It comes to cleanse us. In another part of the world, long ago, there was an old inn that travelers avoided. It was said that every night, footsteps echoed in its hallway, slow and heavy, as if someone were pacing just outside your door. The locals whispered that it was the ghost of a woman searching for her lost husband. He had never returned from the war. One night, a traveler decided to stay there. He didn't believe in ghosts. But when midnight came, and the footsteps began, his disbelief cracked. The sound moved closer, stopping right outside his door. Instead of hiding, he whispered into the darkness, "May you find peace. May your pain finally rest." The next morning, the inn was silent. Forever. Sometimes, what haunts us isn't evil, it's grief. It's the echo of what we never said, the forgiveness we never gave, the love we buried too deep. When you stop running from your past and choose to understand it instead, it loses its power to scare you. The haunting stops when the heart heals. And yet, some ghosts aren't from the past. They're born from loneliness. A widowed man once lived alone in a small cabin deep in the woods. Every rainy night, he swore he heard his late wife calling his name. He told no one. The voice came from the darkness just outside his window, soft and tender, the same tone she once used when she loved him. One night, instead of turning away in fear, he whispered back, "I miss you." The wind seemed to sigh, the voice faded, and it never came again. Loneliness can sound like ghosts. It can make you see shadows where there are none. But sometimes, it's not haunting, it's love reminding you that you were lucky enough to have something worth missing. Sit with your silence. Don't drown it in noise. Within it lies your truth, your heart, your strength. In a different town, years later, stood an abandoned school. Its windows shattered, its doors chained. Teenagers told stories about it, how those who entered never came out. One boy, eager to prove his bravery, decided to go inside one stormy night. He filmed it, documenting his adventure. For the first hour, he laughed, explored empty halls, kicked at fallen desks. Then he found a door that wasn't locked. On the video, his voice changed. He whispered, "Should I open it?" Moments later, the camera fell, and the screen went black. When they found his camera, the last words recorded were, "I shouldn't have opened that door." Some doors are meant to stay closed. In life, too, some memories, some people, some roads, are not meant to be revisited. Curiosity can be brave, but wisdom is knowing when to let go. Not every mystery needs solving. Not every past needs reopening. Sometimes peace is found not in seeking answers, but in accepting silence. And yet, silence is never permanent. For even in the darkest places, hope whispers. In a mining town decades ago, a woman was trapped underground after a collapse. Alone, injured, surrounded by darkness. She wrote messages on the walls with a piece of stone, one message each day, hoping someone might find them. On the seventh day, her candle began to die. She wrote, "If they never find me, I still hope they try." Hours later, rescuers broke through the rubble. The first thing they saw was her smile. Hope is stronger than any nightmare. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it's just the faintest flicker of light that refuses to go out. You might not feel strong right now, but the fact that you keep hoping, keep breathing, keep waiting for better, that's what makes you powerful. And yes, darkness is real. Evil exists in the world, in people, sometimes even in our own hearts. But so does faith. A priest once stood in an old chapel, rain leaking through the roof, as he prayed over a man screaming in torment. For hours the storm outside raged like a mirror of the chaos within. When it ended, the man wept in silence. When asked what had driven the darkness away, the priest said quietly, "Faith never screamed, it just stayed." You see, darkness shouts, but light whispers. Evil trembles before patience. Faith doesn't need to win loud, it just needs to last longer. And love. Love survives everything. During the war, a soldier promised his wife that no matter what, he'd come home. He never did. But every year, on the anniversary of his death, she swore she heard his boots on the porch during rain. Not frightening, not ghostly, just a gentle presence. A reminder that love never dies. When she finally passed away, the footsteps stopped. The house, at last, was quiet. Even death cannot silence love. It simply changes its form, waiting on the other side, patient and eternal. The rain continues to fall. Outside your window, maybe you can hear it now. The soft rhythm of the world washing itself clean. Somewhere, someone is crying. Somewhere else, someone is praying. And somewhere, maybe not too far from you, someone is helping another soul survive their storm. Because in the end, we are all each other's light. Like the woman who, one rainy night, saw a car stranded on the roadside. Her own fears whispered, "Don't stop." But something stronger urged her to pull over. Inside was a mother with a baby, crying, terrified, lost in the storm. The woman helped them reach safety. Later, that mother said, "An angel in the rain saved us." But the woman smiled quietly. She wasn't an angel, just someone who refused to let fear decide for her. Your light might be the one that saves someone else's life. You may never know it, but the world changes every time you choose kindness over fear, love over indifference, faith over despair. The rain slows now, the thunder fades into the distance. You've made it through the storm, and though the darkness still lingers beyond your window, you've learned something tonight. The night doesn't last forever, it never does. Every drop that falls carries away another ounce of pain, another whisper of doubt, another fragment of fear. So sit for a moment, listen to the rain, feel the quiet peace that comes after the storm. Somewhere inside that sound, there's a prayer, one for strength, one for healing, one for you. Dear God, when the rain falls and the world grows dark, remind us that we are never alone. Give us the courage to face what we fear, the patience to wait for dawn, and the strength to be a light in someone else's storm. Protect us tonight. Heal what we can't see. And when morning comes, may we rise unbroken, fearless, and full of hope. Rain fades. Silence. Then a whisper. You survived the night. Now go and shine.